A recording has started. Muting everybody. You're back on.
All right, good morning, gentlemen. We are Sunday morning, Daf Chav Beis Amud Aleph, Masechah Shabbos. We got two blot ahead of us, but hopefully it should move. So we left off at the top of Chav Beis Amud Aleph, two dots on the top. The Omer Rav Kahana, Dorish of Nasan Bar Manyumi, Mishmei Derav, Tanchum. So I guess the previous line was also stated by the same as Rav Kahana, Dorish Rav Nasan Bar Manyumi, Mishmei Derav, Tanchum. So one more memra in his name before we get back to Chanukah. So it says, famous Rashi, what does the pasuk mean? That the pit was empty and there was no water in it. So by the fact it says the pit was empty when Yosef was thrown in, so I know that there was no water. So because it already says empty. So I say ein bo mayim. Elamat tamalei. I was going to teach you ein bo mayim. So it says it means it was empty. It was empty of water. But it was a more sinister act. They threw him into a pit with snakes and scorpions. So that was that was how to darshan that pasuk. Fine. Omar Rabba. So now back to Chanukah. Ner Chanukah. Mitzvah lahanicha b'tefach hasmucha lepesach. So the Ner Chanukah is a mitzvah to place it within a tefach close to the entranceway. So where do you place it? So Rav Rava says on the right. Rav Shmuel Medifti Amar Mismal, and he says you place it to the left of it while facing the door. The Hilchasa Mismal and the halach is you place the Chanukah, the menorah, to the left within a tevach of the doorway. Kadesh Tiyeh Ner Chanukah Mismal Mezuzah Yamin. In order that you should have mitzvahs surrounding you. And basically, your Ner Chanukah on the left and your mezuzah on the right, and therefore you're surrounded by mitzvahs. Fine. So around about 10, 11 lines from the top. Omer Rav Yehuda, Omer Rav Asi, Osir lahart seismos keneged Ner Chanukah. It's us for one to go ahead and count money, right? Check out the coins, make sure they're full coins, whatever it is. Next, using the light of the menorah, using it for mundane purposes like counting money. So Kamei to Shmuel, Amar Li. So I said before Shmuel said to me, "V'chiner kedusha yeshbo." What's the big deal? I understand. Is it kedusha? Is it a problem of meila? Like what's going on here? What's the big deal? Why can't you do it? So he didn't really understand it. So let's see. So Maskef lo Rav Yosef v'chidam kedusha yeshbo. Same thing. We have a mitzvah by kisu adam. One goes ahead and shechs a what's it called? An undomesticated animal, right? You have to go ahead and do kisu adam, the birds, right? So it says v'chidam. Does blood have kedusha, right? So the Tanya Limit Bryce it says v'shavach v'chisa. It says over there one who spilled blood or poured blood v'chisa, and he has to cover it. V'meshashavach chichasa. With that which you go ahead and you spill the blood, i.e. with your hand, right? You use the hand for shchita. So too you should cover the dirt with your hand. You shouldn't just go ahead and kick dirt on it.
Or we learned yesterday we should burn it in fire, right? That was what they did in the parsha. They just burned it in fire when they made the korbanot.
Well, that was different. That was applying, right? That was applying the blood to the mizbeach, right? That was application of blood. Yes, it goes on the mizbeach and it's poured out in the bottom. But over here, this is a completely separate mitzvah. Even nowadays, without the Beis Hamikdash, that you have to go ahead and do kisu
and throw sand. You throw sand on the blood. I did it when I did that.
Right. So they cover it. So
right.
Over here it says there's no kedusha, right? In other words, yes, you do the mitzvah, but there's no kedusha. And nevertheless, we don't go ahead. We're not mavaza. We don't go ahead and desecrate the mitzvah because the mitzvah was done but doing shchita. And then we don't just go ahead and kick dirt on it, right? You should be respectful. So therefore, you should go ahead and cover it with your hand. You take dirt with your hand and then cover it, but not, just kick it with your foot. So Achanami Shalto over here, in terms of counting money next to the light of the menorah, the mitzvah should not be like a bizui upon him, for him to look, like sort of just to kick dirt on it and be disrespectful. So Boi Minei Rabbi Shubin Levi Mahu Istabek Minoi Sukkah Kol Shiva. So similar question, what about for one to go ahead and to get hana, right, from Nois Sukkah. Nois Sukkah is basically Sukkah decoration, stuff that was placed on the walls, placed hanging from the schach, to be decorations. One had in the Sukkah. Can you go ahead and take it down and use it during Sukkahs? So the Kol Shiva right now is not just on Shabbos or Yontif, rather than the entire even Chol Hamoed Kol Shiva. So Amarle Harei Amru Aser Lahart Seis Mos Keneged Ner Chanukah. We said, well, all right. So we just said you can't go ahead and use right? The light of the light of the menorah to go ahead and count your money. So too, you shouldn't be able to go ahead and use the decorations of sukkah for your own needs because it's sort of designated for a mitzvah. Some of Yosef, Mario Davram, Talitani. So he says, my goodness, right? Talitani, but Deloy Tanya. I understand. You just learned something, right? That was not given. That you learned something that its reason was stated from something which the reason wasn't stated. In other words, the Ner Chanukah was never. That was a question we just had, and we answered al svara. But by sukkah, it's actually written. It's a favorite Mishnah, right? Or a brisa. Tanya sukkah. So Tanya Chanukah and the Chanukah loy Tanya says by sukkah it was written in the brisa, and the Chanukah wasn't. The Tanya learned in the brisa. Schacha kilchasa. The person goes ahead and puts proper schach on the sukkah. Bija bekaramim v'sadinim matzuyan. Mitsuryanin. Person goes ahead and he hangs up different sheets and linens that were colored. The talba geizim efrazaki neshkedim v'rimonim, and he goes ahead and he hangs nuts and peaches and almonds and pomegranates, and clusters of grapes, vitaras shel shavalim, and also wreaths of grain. So he hangs it all in his sukkah. He has his sukkah decorations going full blast, and yainos v'shvanim v'salatos, and also different flasks of wine or oils or flour. Osirli stabek man on might say yom tov achron shel chag. It's forbidden to go ahead and to get benefit from any of these decorations until yom tov is over. He's not laying, but a person makes a condition, says, hey, I'm going to go ahead and put up this, hang up my wine until I need it later on, even if it's on Sukkot. Hakol, if he can go ahead and make it such a condition. So what do we see from over here? We see from over here that it was a Farish Mishnah that you can't go ahead and use the decoration. So why do we say, what's halacha by Sukkah? We must learn it from Ner Chanukah if there's a Farish Mishnah or Brisa, which teaches us by Noy Sukkah. Elam Rav Yosef, Avu, and the Kuludam. Rather, both of them, all of them, right? Both Sukkah and Menorah are all learned from the halachas of blood, and that we should not be disrespectful by kicking dirt on blood. You should use your hands. So too, you should not be disrespectful by the decorations by Sukkah, and they're designated for the mitzvah. And so too, you should not be disrespectful and be mevazeh the light of the Ner Chanukah by counting money next to it. Itmar. Fine. Next case. Rav Omar. Ein madlikim and ner. So now here comes a discussion we're going to have over the next amar or so. Is the person allowed to go ahead and light from one candle to another? Right? Are you allowed to be madlik from one ner Chanukah to another ner Chanukah? As we discussed, multiple candles are lit. So can you light one of your candles from another one? So Rav Omar ein madlik, you can't do it at all. Shmuel Omar madlik, and Shmuel says you are allowed to go ahead and be madlik. You can go ahead and light. And similarly, Rav Omar ein matir and tzitzis mi begel lebegel. One is not allowed to go ahead and transfer tzitzis that are tied onto the corner of one of your garments to a new garment or to another garment, tzitzis, right? In Shmuel Omar matir, you are allowed to do it. So both these cases, Rav says aser, light from candle to candle, or move the tzitzis from one garment to another, and Shmuel says mutter. And Shmuel Omar
it appears from the Gemara that the halacha is going to follow Shmuel.
Let's see the Gemara. So Rav Omar, ein halacha Rabbi Shimon b'Greira. So Rav says the halacha is not like Rabbi Shimon b'Greira. So the machlokes we'll soon see later on by Davar Shemus Kavin that something when a person does not intend to. A person, let's say, wants to go ahead and drag a heavy couch. It takes a heavy couch and it's in the yard and he wants to schlep it over. So by doing it, he's basically making a groove in the ground, right? Which charitz, right? Which will be aser. So nevertheless, he has no intentions. He doesn't care about the groove in the ground and the dirt. He just wants the couch, right? So Rav Omar, and so Rabbi Shimon says it's mutter to do because Davar Shemus Kavin is mutter. So Rav says the halacha is not like Rabbi Shimon. Shmuel Omar halacha Rabbi Shimon b'Greira. The halacha is like Rabbi Shimon b'Greira that there will be mutter. And Omar Abaye says Abaye kol mili damar ovid karav labar mehani talas. All cases that was machlokes Rav and Shmuel. Case of Isser. The halacha is like Rav, except for these three cases, the Avu Kishmon, we go like Shmuel. One is that you're allowed to go ahead and light from one candle to another. Umatirin mi beged lebeged. And you're also allowed to be matir from one beged to another beged. You're allowed to go ahead and move your tzitzis from one garment to another. But halacha Rabbi Shimon b'Greira, the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon and Greira. The Tanya, we learn advice. Rabbi Shimon Aimer, Gur Adam Mita, Kisei V'Safsab, Vashli is Chavin, Lasas Choritz. A person is allowed to go ahead and drag a bed right? A heavy chair, a couch, and the condition, even though it might make a ditch, right? Nevertheless, on the condition that he doesn't go ahead and those are not his intentions. So Yasif Ha'umiraban and Kamei Derav Adabarav of Yasif Kamar. So there was a certain Rav. Right, so it was one of the rabbis were sitting in front of Rav Adabarav. Yasif Kamar, he was sitting. He said, "Tama Derav Mishum Bizoi Mitzvah." So the Machlokas is, what was the reason why you can't go ahead and light from one candle to another candle, right? So he says, Mishum Bizui Mitzvah, because of, good morning, finally, we're waiting for you, Yosef. All right, so he says, the reason is because of Bizui Mitzvah. The reason is because you're being mavaz in the mitzvah. You have an Ner Chanukah and you're using it to light using it to light something else. Amar Lu, lo titzule. No, don't listen to this. Tama Derav. The reason is Rav Mishum to call machish mitzvah, because you're weakening the mitzvah by taking the light, right? It appears that you're weakening the current mitzvah to light something else, or maybe you're using some of the oil. So you're being machish. You're weakening the mitzvah. So one reason is the Rav would say asur lahalik min ner is because it's bizui mitzvah, and the other one says because you're weakening the mitzvah. So now let's see. My benayu. What's an after mean? Is ika benayu to come malik mishragel to struggle. If you go ahead and you light directly from one candle to the other, in other words, perhaps the machlokas over there, Minir Lanier, was, let's say you use a match in between. If you use a match in between, right, maybe that was the case where Rab said, everyone says asur. However, if you light directly, maybe that's an afkamina. So man rishum bizui mitzvah. If you hold it's because of bizui mitzvah, mishraga shalam ali, you can do it because no bizui, because you're not lighting something else, a match in between, or something mundane, right? You're lighting another mitzvah directly from this mitzvah, so therefore there is no bizui. However, man rishum achushe mitzvah mishraga shaga nam yasper. The one who says it looks like you're taking from that light, right, and you're weakening a little bit, so then that would still apply. It doesn't matter whether you're lighting another piece of wood from it to light another candle, or you're lighting directly to a candle. It still appears that you're weakening the fire. So Meisi Rav Abya, so Sela Shel Meiser. So that's the Kasha of Rav Abya. So he says Sela Shel Meiser Sheni. Turn the page. Ein Sheiklin Kenegda Diner Izav. A person is Meiser Sheni. We discussed Meiser Sheni. Meiser Sheni is after you take the first mice or the first tenth, you take another tenth, and that is used, basically can be used, that produce can be used by yourself to go ahead and bring it to Yerushalayim, eat it there. Or if it's too much to schlep, you can go ahead and consecrate it upon money and use that. That money is called Kesef Ma'aseh Sheni, and bring that money to Jerusalem and spend it in the marketplaces there on food and other provisions. So we say, Ma'aseh Sheni ain't sheklin kenegdo. Dinar, you're not allowed to go ahead and count it and measure it, dinar izav, different dinarim, against the Ma'aseh Sheni, because the Ma'aseh Sheni we say, okay, these are full coins, and now we need to weigh the dinar izav, make sure they're full coins, because those days some of the coins over time eroded, and therefore they were not complete. So you're not allowed to go ahead and measure it. Even if you can go ahead and use these dinar izav later on to be mechalel for the purpose of more Ma'aseh Sheni. So you can't use these Kesef Ma'aseh Sheni because it's. We'll soon see why this Kesef Ma'aseh Sheni, in order to go ahead and weigh other regular chulin dinar zav, other coins of zav, these dinar that were golden. Now, this works well if you say over here in this case where we say you're not allowed to, because when the Rav and Shmuel argue, they only argue in a case where you're using some sort of match in between. We're on the top of Chav Beis and Beis, 4 lines from the top. So we say that in this case, if that which Rav and Shmuel argue is a case of where you light an in-between piece of wood, right? And that case, right? Keep league Rav Shmuel Minor Lanier. They only argue in a case of direct, and that's when Shmuel says mutter aval bekinsa. But if it was with a match, then it would be asur. Because why? Because with a match, you're being mevaz in the mitzvah. In other words, if there's an in-between, that's called a bizui. So therefore, this makes sense. In that case where Rav argue, when the Shmuel say it's mutter to light minir lanier, if it's direct. But if there's a match in between, then it's asur. Right? As a shul, halai tu if that's not a kashan. Eli marta bekinsa nami shari. But if you say that Shmuel says not only is it mutter to write directly from one candle to another, but you're even allowed to go ahead and light a match from one candle and then go ahead and light another candle with that match, right? Why is this a kasha? Because over here we just said you want to go ahead and measure Ma'aser Sheni to something which is chulin, dinar zav, even though you might have the purpose of using that dinar zav to go ahead and be to go ahead and make that into kesem ma'aser sheni. So that would be this same thing, analogous to taking a ner Chanukah to something chulin, like a match, to another ner Chanukah. So if we're saying that's also to do that over here, so then why isn't mutter? Why would Shmuel say it's mutter in the case of ner l'ner? So Amara, so it says, therefore, it must be that what Shmuel says is mutter. It's always mutter b'ner l'ner, but in the case of a match, that would be problematic, just like it's a problematic to go ahead and weigh the case of ma'aser sheni with dinar zav. And Amar Rabba, so Gezerah Shemla Yechave Mishkaleza Bekomapik Luduchu. So he says, no, maybe the reason really normally you're allowed to go ahead and if you're going to take light a candle with a match, light another candle, maybe Shmuel says mutter. But in this case, it could be, right? It could be that maybe the weights didn't work out and the dinar zav didn't match up or whatever it was. And therefore, they wouldn't use it. And therefore, it turns out you waited for no reason. It was never for the purposes of ma'aser sheni. So Meisa Rav Sheishes, it says Mechutz leparoches ha'edus yaruch. It says outside the paroches that you go ahead and arrange, right, the light. They need the light of the menorah, right? During all the 40 years in the midbar, they use the light from Hashem. Rather, what's the reason why they have the menorah? So it's testimony to the world. So that the Shechina was presiding amongst the Bnei Yisrael. So Ma'edus, and what was that testimony? So Amarav, Zainer Ma'aravi, that was the western lamp, the western light of the menorah, right? The menorah, basically, according to most shitas, most pictures, right, that you have, the menorah went east-west on the, I think it was the north side, right? North, right? I think it was east-west and the north, and I think the shulchan was the south, I think. Anyway, so it went east and west, and there was the western lamp, not necessarily the one, all the western lamp wasn't necessarily the one that was all the way west, but according to most, the western lamp was the one west of the most eastern light. So it was basically the second one. If you're facing it, basically to the right of it. So now, which would be the second one there. So anyway, so that was the western lamp. It gave all the lamps equal amount of oil. That from that one they would light the others, and it would go. The others would just go throughout the night and finish in the morning. This one, the western lamp, would go throughout the night into the next day, 24 hours, and then they would, relight it. They would basically pick up the oil with the wick that was burning. They would clean it out and put it there again, and use that same flame to light the others. But the miracle was that it was the same amount of oil that they would put in that one as the others, and the others would go out after, let's say, 12 hours right, till the morning, and this one would go 24 hours. So it was amazing. Okay. So I understand over there, right? The once it was in this place, you couldn't go ahead and light from one to the other, right? I guess
was it a question? One question. Was it the central one? Or
no, it was not the central one. Was the west one was not? No, it was not. It was
certainly the Maravi, the western one.
Right, it was the western one. Some say it was the western one, meaning it was just to the west of the most eastern one.
Right. Okay.
Be the second to the right.
Right, next to the parochet.
Right. So the Gemara says. So in this case,
is that to say that the menorah was placed so that its branches ran from east to west?
That's the machlokes, right? So I explained it, the east to west. There are also shita, that was the most common, but there are shitas that also say that it went north to south.
From north to south.
Right. Then it would be the one that, the middle one that would come out. Right.
But except the middle one would have been the eastern lamp.
Well, they would put, I guess, the western one.
Because the Kohen, when he would light the menorah,
right,
would be facing the parochet if it was running from north to south. He would be facing the parochet. So that's the eastern lamp, the middle one.
Yeah.
Because it sticks out a little.
Yeah, it was towards the middle one is, I guess it was faced towards the west. So according to that sheet, if it went north-south, then it was the middle one. Anyways, so let's go back to our case. So the Gemara says, if the
it only works if you say that the
no, it works both ways.
Menorah ran from east to west, and then you can say, okay, the western.
But there still is west. The Rashi over here explains why it's west, right? And it says it was because it was the middle one was the part that was facing, facing the west.
No, forgive me, but stop it. The only way you're right that the central one is not the one is when it's facing, like you say, it's parallel to the parochet. Forget about north-south. It's when it's parallel to the parochet, it's still going to be the one to the left in both sides, because the central one is, like you said, is coming towards east, towards the Kohen Gadol. So it always will be that specific one, the corner one.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I see.
Let's get back. Let's get back to the kasha. So what's the kasha?
The corner.
So the kasha is like this. So the kasha is, if the neiros were set in the menorah, how could you light one from the other? There's no direct ner l'ner. It must be that they were lighting something in between. They were lighting a match in between, or a piece of wood, to go ahead and transfer the flame from one to the other. So it's a kasha in each way. It's a kasha on weakening the fire, and it's a kasha on a bizuy mitzvah, because not lighting directly to another mitzvah. So I understand kasha bein l'mandir mishum bizuy mitzvah, bein l'mandir mishum achushay mitzvah. So over here, taking Rav Papa, basilois aruchos. No, they were long wicks. It was a long wick. They had an extra super long wick on the ner maravi, and therefore that wick basically they would. Or the other wicks were long, and they would connect them, and by the length of the wicks. So nevertheless, according to the one who holds that you're weakening the mitzvah, even if you write the nail and error, it would be difficult. So kasha, you're right. And Echanami is a kasha because it appeared that they lit even from one mitzvah directly to another mitzvah, which would be problematic. So my habila. So no. So what is with it? So, what's the maskana? So Ravuna Bereda Vishua Chazina. So let's see. If the whole mitzvah is you light, the mitzvah is the lighting of the Neres Chanukah, then you're allowed to go ahead. You should be able to be malik ner l'ner because you're doing a direct mitzvah. Why are you doing it? Mitzvah. And if you hold that placing the menorah in the right place is the mitzvah, ein malik and ner, then it's not the lighting of the mitzvah. It's actually placing the menorah in the proper place is the proper mitzvah. That a question was asked, because we asked, what is it? Is it the halakha that makes the mitzvah, or is it the hanacha that does the mitzvah? So Tashma, come and listen. A guy was holding the ner Chanukah. Right, he was holding ner Chanukah, the Aymeid, and he was standing there, lois of like klum. He was holding it the whole time. He lit it, and he was holding it the whole time. He hasn't done anything. So Shmamina must be. We learn from here, hanacha is a mitzvah. It must be a hanacha mitzvah because what's the reason why he wasn't yaitz? What do you mean? He lit it in the proper time. He was just holding it. So he says no, because it must be that you have to place it down. It is a hanacha. So maybe so you see over here that there's placing the menorah in the right place is the mitzvah. So I said no. Over there, no. The reason is because the whole point of lighting the candles is for Suman Isa. So if someone sees somebody holding his menorah, he's going to think, oh, he's just holding because he needs the light. So therefore, there would be no Suman Isa. So when it's holding, it's not because of a lack of hanacha. It's because he basically has uprooted any sort of Suman Isa because a person who sees him will say he's just doing it for his own benefit. And similarly, Tashmak, listen to Marava, a person goes ahead and lights his candles, his menorah inside, and he brings it outside, and he brings it outside and places it, next to within the tefach of the door like he's supposed to. Lost klum, he hasn't done anything. So if you want to say the reason why he has not fulfilled his obligation is because lighting is the mitzvah, he has to go ahead and light in the proper place. He can't light it inside then bring his menorah outside. Rather, he should go ahead and light it outside. So because of that, he didn't do anything. But if you hold the hanacha mitzvah, am I lost of loy klum? If you hold it, just placing a lit candle, a lit menorah in the proper place is the mitzvah. Well, he did that. So why is it lost of loy klum? So Gemara answers no. Well, I won't say there. No, maybe he lit it in the inside for his own purposes, and he brought it outside. He needs it for his own needs, and therefore there is no Pesum Nisa. So Tashma, come and listen. Finally, Damar Shimon Levi. So Ashis in the pages, right? So he says over here, ashish, which is a lantern, right? As Rashi calls it, right? A lantern from glass, right? Lanterna, right? So he says, ashish shahaisa delekas v'lekas koyam. It was on the entire Shabbos, let's say. So kula koyam kuloi lamati Shabbos and mati Shabbos mechabel malika. He goes ahead as he extinguishes the light. And then he goes and he relights it. So Iyamar to be Shlomo Hadlaka Oysa Mitzvah Shaper. If you hold that just lighting it is the mitzvah, then it makes sense that he goes ahead. All he has to do is, put it out, then relight it. Eliyamar to Hanacha Oysa Mitzvah. But if you hold a Hanacha, play it in the right place, Oysa Mitzvah, Hi Mechabu Malika. So why is it only he has to go ahead and just put out the fire and then relight it? It should be that he has to go ahead and place it. He has to do some sort of hanacha. He has to go ahead and, here's a lantern, right? He has to go ahead and place it in its place, right? You should have done that. And furthermore, by the fact that we'll soon see that the bracha is lahalik, to light the candle, not lahaniach, right? Lahaniach ner shachanaka, rather lahalik ner shachanaka. So shmamina, halakha is the mitzvah shmamina. It must be, we learn from here that it is the halakha of the mitzvah that one has to do the halakha in the proper place and not necessarily do, just light it anywhere and then place in the right place. So shmamina. Indeed, learn from there. And now, vahash diamrina halakha is the mitzvah. Now that we say that halakha is a mitzvah. First of all, we say halakha is a mitzvah. We say that you can directly light one ner Chanukah to another one because halakha is a mitzvah, right? By the moment you light the other one, you're actually doing the mitzvah. You're not lighting something else and not to do the mitzvah. So therefore, if you're lighting directly, it would be the mitzvah. You could do that. And similarly, another halakha comes off from here. Halakha is a mitzvah. Hilika cheresh sheit of a katan loisav loy klum. If a cheresh sheit of a katan, if a deaf mute or a person who was didn't have the capacity, or a katan or a minor who lit it for you, and then you just go ahead and you place it in the right place. Lo yasav lo klum. You have not done anything. However, isha vada melika. However, a woman can go ahead and be malik. Damar Rabbi Shimon Levi. Nashim chayaves b'ner Chanukah. Women are obligated in ner Chanukah. Shaf hein hayu ba'isanes, because they were also involved in the miracle. They were saved just like any men were, and therefore they are also obligated in the ner Chanukah. Yes.
So we know that we always, on Shabbos Hanukkah, we always light the Chanukiah first before the Shabbos candles.
Right.
Does it address if a woman can take the light from the Hanukkah candle and use that to light her Shabbos candle after?
So it's a good question. So
Thank you.
We're soon going to compare, because you're doing a mitzvah from it, right? Even though it's a different mitzvah, right? I would say, we'll come back to this question. It's a good question, but we did say you could do a one mitzvah from another mitzvah, right? Even though now this is a different mitzvah. Maybe one mitzvah is better than the other. So we'll soon see. But it's a good question. Amar Rav Sheishes, says Rav Sheishes, Achsanai Chai b'ner Chanukah, right? A person he goes ahead, a guest, even though he's staying at someone else's house or an inn or something like that, a hotel, he is chai b'ner Chanukah. He's not potter. He says, I'm not home, I'm potter. No, he's chai b'ner Chanukah. In the beginning, when I used to go ahead and I used to basically board by the house of Rav, I used to go ahead and be mishtati if I would join him with his ner Chanukah. In other words, I would give it with money. I'll give him a couple of dollars and I would say, okay, let me have a share in some of the oil that you use. So therefore, we're together on this ner Chanukah. Bahadi ushpize. So in other words, in the certain inn, I would go ahead and give the money. I'll be included with the host or the balabayis. So therefore, his ner Chanukah would have me in mind because I gave him money. However, busted the nasivi. However, after I got married, Isa Amina. And now he said, I have a wife. My wife is still at home, even though he went out to go learn. He's on the road, right? Now, I don't have to because my wife has fulfilled my obligation. In other words, since my wife is at my house lighting my ner Chanukah, so therefore, despite the fact that I'm on the road and I'm not there at all, but nevertheless, since the menorah is being lit in my house, therefore I have fulfilled my obligations through that. A lot of nafkaminas come from this Gemara here in terms of traveling and how we light, in terms of lighting in one's house and one's obligation on the road. Anyways, Amir Shimon Levi, Kol Hashmanim Kulon Yofen Ner. So all different oils are good to write for ner Chanukah. The Shemen Zayis Min Amuchar. However, olive oil is the best. And Omer Abaye, In the beginning, I used to go ahead and look for oil from sesame. However, Amar Hai Mashachnu, right? However, and I would say that what's the reason why? Because sesame oil, used to burn very well. However, came in the Shemeleh Lohadar Shimon Levi. However, once I heard Shimon Levi say that olive oil is the best, I used to go ahead and look for olive oil in order to use olive oil for my menorah. And Amar Hai Tzelel Nura Tfei. And I would say this, this flame would run clear, run better, and this way I use it. And similarly, Shimon Levi says, all different oils are good for making ink, and Shemen Zayis is actually the best for making ink. So now, now the way they used to go ahead and make ink was, I guess they would have some, what was it inside? They used to have some material inside. What was it? Some sort of not dirt, but soot, ash inside, and used to go ahead and basically have a fire underneath it. They would have a fire underneath it, basically in a glass, some glass container, and the fire would be underneath it, and it would cause that to, I guess, blacken. And then they used to go ahead and after they scrape off all the black, and they would mix it with oil. So oil was actually used twice. It was used for the fire, and then it was used to mix. So the Gemara is asking, that what you said, the olive oil was the best for making the ink. Was it the kneading or was it the burning in the beginning? So Tashma, come listen. Tani Reb Shmuel bar Zutra, Kolashmani Yafin Ladio, the Shemen Zayis, Ben Muvchar, Ben the Gabel, Ben the Ocean. So he says, no, both. All oils are good, except the Shemen Zayis is actually the best, whether it is to go ahead and knead it or whether it's to go ahead and burn it. Both those oils are the best. And Rav Shmuel bar Zutra, Masni Hacha, Kol Shanim, Yafin Ladio, anything that fires are good for the ink. The Shemen Zayis, Ben Muvchar, that's the best. And Rav Huna, Kol HaSrafin, Yafa the deal, anything that you burn are good for it to make an ink. The straf kataf yafa mikulam. However, this type of what's it called? I don't know what it was in English. It said the blackthorn gum is the best of all. I guess it would produce a very good. I guess it was very good for ink. So the strafim was the best, and that was the blackthorn gum. And Amar Rab Zeir Ba'ashi, Amar Rav Hamadlik Ner Shachanakot Tzarich Levarich. One is who lights the Ner Chanukah, has to make a bracha. But Rabbi Yirmi Amar Haroya Ner Shachanakah Tzarich Levarich, and also one who sees the Ner Shachanakah has to be mevarich, makes a bracha. So he just sees, he didn't light already, he just saw a candle. The Ner Chanukah makes a bracha. And Amar Rabbi Yehuda Yom Rishon, on the first day, Haroya, one who sees it mevarich shtayim, he makes two brachas. Umadlik and Umadlik mevarich gimel, and one who lights on the first night makes three brachas.
This means that the Maisa with Rav Zutra, where he was away and his wife would light for him, he would still be chayav to make the mitzvah of seeing the Ner Chanukah. He would still have to make that bracha when he sees somebody else's Ner Chanukah. Remember, Rab Zutra said...
I understand. I'm just thinking whether I agree with that statement. I mean, there's two sides. One is that he's already Yaitse his mitzvah, so his wife is his shliach.
That's right, for lighting the candle.
All right, I hear. Okay.
But for the bracha of Shasan Yisima Votenu,
I hear. Okay.
That bracha, if he sees somebody else's, then he can make that bracha.
All right, I definitely hear this svara. So let's see. So one lights makes three. So mekan ve'elech malik, but after the first night, mekan ve'elech malik mevarich shtein, the one who lights says two. V'roya, the one person sees mevarich achas, makes one. So my, which one do we take down? Mamai zman. You don't make the brachas. So the three brachas are lahadlik, shas anisim, and shechianu. So after the first night, you no longer make a shechianu. Then he says, why don't you no longer make shas anisim? Why that one? So neis kol yom isa. Every day there was another nace that it lit for 8 days, so therefore there was a nace every single day. So my mevarich, so what would it be? Mevarich asher kidisham tzavasifanu lahadlik ner shachanukah, lahadlik ner shachanukah, to make the bracha to light the candle of Chanukah. So the Gemara says, "I vehechet tzivanu." Where do we see in the Torah that they're a mitzvah? Right? Obviously, Chanukah came, hundreds of years later. So Rav Avi Omar Milay Saser, right? The pasuk of Leisaser, I'm just the whole pasuk over here on the side. All right, Al Pi Torah Asher Yerucha Ve'al Mishpat Asher Yomru L'cha Tasa. Right, that was taught to you. Right, Ve'al Mishpat, it was told to do. Leisaser Min Hadavar Asher Yagidu L'cha Yamin Asmal. You should not go ahead and deviate the right to left, from that which they tell you, Yamin or small. In other words, so we see over here that which the rabbis go ahead and interpret for you, you should not go ahead and deviate. So since the rabbis tell you to make this bracha of, to go ahead and light the candle of Hanukkah, therefore that's where we were commanded to listen to the rabbis from this pasuk of Lois Asur. And Rav Nechemia Omar Shalavicha v'Yadyacha Zekenecha v'Yoyim Relach, right? Ask your fathers and they'll tell you, and the Zakanim, and they'll tell you. So in other words, from the Zakanim, we see that the Torah commands us to listen to the Zakanim. The Zakanim said, like the Hanukkah candles. So therefore, it's a mitzvah to go ahead and light the Hanukkah candles. So Mesa Rav Avram, so every time the rabbis tell you to do something, you should go ahead and anything which is a Rabbana, make a bracha. So Mesa Rav Avram had Demai when it comes to Demai. So Demai, we discussed, is something which is produce that was owned by an Amaretz, a person, an unlearned person who is maybe not so meticulous in his mitzvahs, and perhaps he did not take his Trumas or Meisers properly. So if you purchase from him, you have to go ahead and take the Truma Meisers just in case. Actually, not the Truma, I think just the Meiser, just in case. So you're allowed to use it for Eruv, Umishtatin, but you can also use it for Shituf Mavui, also connecting of different courtyards, which was very similar to Eruv Chatzeros, but it's Mavui, right? The different Chatzeros. Umavarchin Olav, and you make a brach on it. Umazamin Olav, and you can also make a zimun on it, using if it was bread, you make a zimun on this demai. Umafrishin Oiso Arum, and you can also go ahead and mafresh it while one is Arum, while one is not wearing any clothes. Ubena Shmashais, right? So he's allowed to go ahead and do it, right? Even these times, and even during, right, during Ben Hashmashos, right before Shabbos, he's allowed to do it. So all these times, he's allowed to do it demai. Now, via Marta Kolman Derabanan by Bracha. If you say that any Derabanan and you make a bracha, how could the person, if he's tithing, right, without wearing any clothes, right, then that means literally no clothes. You have to be covered. It says over there your machana should be kodesh. You should not go ahead and be arum and be nude, right, and not wear any clothes. Certainly not make any brachas, right, while one is not wearing clothing. So how could you say he makes a bracha since it's Rabban? You're allowed to do it, right, without clothes on. If you have to make a bracha, you can't do it. So it doesn't make any sense. You don't have this case. Now, if it's a case of vada, in other words, I'm lighting the candles, I'm vada doing a mitzvah right now, then you make a bracha. However, suffix, but if you're only doing a suffix, such as you're taking demai, as we mentioned, is only you're doing it as a precautionary measure because the seller who was an Amma Aretz perhaps did not take meiser, so therefore you take meiser just in case. So therefore, since it's only a suffix, therefore it does not require bracha. So Gemara said, Yontif Sheni, the suffix did bracha. What do you mean? Yontif Sheni, right? We make 2 days Yontif, and then we make Kiddush, we make brachas there, right? Mekadesh Yontif, right? We make brachas there. So that's also a suffix. So God says, no, Hasam, ki heichid aloi li zilzabit. The reason why I make a bracha there is a person who would not come to be mezalzel the bracha. They won't become the mezalzel the bracha by, if we don't mandate making a bracha. Therefore, we're afraid of zilzal.
Question.
Yeah.
This was considered chutz la'aretz. This was bubble. So do they keep 2 days yontif?
Yeah. Bubble was just like, right, yeah. And Rav Omar, Roiv Omei Aretz Meiser Hein. Says, no. Go back to the case. Even a suffix you would. But since majority of Amei Aretz would take Meiser, therefore that which you take Meiser wasn't even really an obligation. It was more of a precautionary measure. And therefore, since most of them were Amei Aretz, would take Meiser, so therefore that which you take Demai was really not a mitzvah. Therefore, that's the reason why it did not require bracha. And since it did not require bracha, that's why one can go ahead and do it in the privacy of his own home without any clothes. Fine, 2 dots. Now, a chatzar that had 2 different entrances, right, and into the house needs 2 neros, needs 2 menorahs, 1 on each side. And Rava and Amar Rava says Amar Rava. Only if it's 2 different. No, it has 2 psachim, 2 entrances. Right, only if it's on 2 different sides of the house, right? One is on the east, the other is on the west, or north and west, or whatever. There's 2 different sides of the street. A person lives in a corner house, perhaps. But if he has 2 entrances from the same side, then you don't need a second menorah by the other entrance. My time, what's the reason? So why do we require 2? If we're talking about because concerned people will see and say, hey, this person didn't light the menorah because I see an entrance without a menorah there. So chashda the man. Who are we worried about that doesn't know? If we're talking about people from the world who doesn't know who lives there and doesn't know, right? So Chashdiama, I feel boy. All right, someone walks by and the two entrances on the same side. Maybe it's two different houses. Maybe it's a townhouse. Maybe it's two different people that are sharing this. Each person, right, has an entrance. So whoever owns that entrance that doesn't have a menorah is not lighting candles, right? Why do they have menorah? Why do they have mezuzah on their door if they're not lighting Neres Chanukah? And if you say no, if we're talking about people who live in the town, they know that the two entrances are owned by the same person. Even if it's two different sides, one on the east, one on the west, people know, oh, that the guy owns the house, and obviously he's on the east side, it must be on the west side, and I just can't see it. So our answer is no. Really, it's because the chashad of people in this town. The zimni, the machavi bahai, and perhaps they'll only see one and not the other. But I mean, the same reason why I'm only walking the west side and they didn't light on the west side. But maybe they didn't go ahead and light on the other side. So therefore, if obviously they saw both sides and they know, okay, this person lives here, he lived on the east, not the west, so it makes sense. But over here, if they only walk on the east side and they see there's no menorah there, they might assume that also on the west side there was nothing lit, and therefore it would be problematic. So therefore, to avoid that situation, because of a chashad that people might think that a person didn't act appropriately, we require him to go ahead and light on both sides. So now wants to know the sources. We know Tamer, the chashin on the chashad. Where do we see that? We are concerned that people might say, oh, the person didn't do it right, and therefore we require the person to do extra just so people will know that they did the mitzvah. So there you. 4 reasons, as we'll soon state now, that the Torah that basically require one who owns a field. Now, Peah is the halacha that one who goes ahead and he harvests his field should go ahead, different things. He drops things or stuff, other stuff, can't pick it up, or if he forgets. One of the requirements is leave over a corner. Peah. Peah means a corner, leave over the corner. And which corner do you do? Maybe the corner at the beginning. So we require the person to leave over the corner at the end. Leave it at the end. Why? 4 reasons. And we'll explain them all. Because of the theft from anim. Because of wasting the poor people's time. And because of the concern that people might think that person's not giving peah, which is why we bring it here. And also because the lav of Baal Techala, that person should not go ahead and not leave over a corner of the field. So Gemara says, "Mipnei gezel ani," because he's stealing from the name. Shalayira balabayis shapnuya v'yamar karvano ani harei zepeah. Because one thing is maybe he's stealing from them, because maybe he'll wait with no other poor people around, and all of a sudden his second cousin or his good friend who is a poor person qualifies as an ani. They'll say, "Hey, quick, no one's around. Okay, this is going to be my peah. Quick, go ahead and take it right now." So in other words, they'll basically be stealing from the other poor people of the town. So we don't want that to happen. So therefore, we can't just say you can designate it at any time while you're doing it. Oh, that's my peah. No, you have to wait till the last one, the last corner. You do it at the end. So therefore, you avoid that situation. When we pay also because of turn the page, we pay bitonim because they're wasting their time. Another reason is he can make pay at any time. So therefore, they'll be sitting around the entire time waiting for him to say, okay, this corner is going to be the pay, right? So they're going to sit around all day waiting for him to do it, and maybe he won't do it that day. Maybe he'll wait till tomorrow or something. So therefore, we don't want to waste their time. So we'll just say, it always comes at the end, at the corner at the end. So therefore, the poor people who are sitting around know, oh, the guy just started harvesting his field. I know he's not going to get to the end for another 3 days. So therefore, they won't waste their time. And then we say, because the chashad, shalayeh, oivrin, v'shavin, oivrin, shavi, oivrin, tavo me'iro, le'adam shalay niach, peya, b'sadeo. Right? Because maybe people will walking by and they see that the person didn't leave over any pay yet, and they'll say, "Oh, this person doesn't leave pay," and therefore they'll basically curse the person because he didn't leave pay. But maybe he didn't have an opportunity to do it yet. Maybe he was going to do it at the end. So therefore, if we quite do it at the end, no one's going to curse somebody if he's midway through his harvest without leaving over any corners, because they know that the corner is only left over at the end. And we shum Baal Techala, and also because of the lava of Baal Techala, not to go ahead and leave over. You should not go ahead and, not harvest your entire field, but leave over some. So Gemara says, what do you mean? Right? The whole reason I do pay is because of Baal Techala. That's the pasuk, right? The pasuk is the reason, right? So Amarabba mipnei aramai. No, because the trick. It doesn't really mean that. Really, that's that's the real reason why we do it. But another reason why we cry at the end is not because of Batachala, rather because of those who go ahead and do a trick, right? And those who come and trick and will say that maybe they'll say, oh, I left over earlier and therefore I don't have to do, I don't have to leave over the last part because I did earlier and they just took it. That's why it looks like there's nothing there. So in order to avoid the situation of farmers being deceitful, therefore we require them to just leave it over at the end. So therefore, nevertheless, we see because of the chashad, we're concerned that people will think that they didn't do it. We require them to do it at the end. So too, shnei psachim, a person has two entrances. They have to end two different sides. They'll have to go ahead and put the menorah on both sides. Fine, two dots. Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Radifo Amar Rav Huna ner sheyesh ba shnei piyos eila lebeis bnei adam. Person who has if a candle has two wicks, then it can count for two people's ner Chanukah. And Amar Rava, and similarly what Rava says, we'll explain it. Mila ka'ara shemen v'kiva psilas. So let's say a person has a bowl, right, of oil, and he puts in many wicks. It can count for multiple people, right? If you go ahead and cover it, now when you cover it, you're moving the wicks away from one another, right? There is no. It's not like a one torch. Each flame is separate. And since each flame is separate, you can identify the amount of wicks. And since you can identify the amount of wicks, they can count for multiple people. However, but if you don't cover with a cover and separate the wicks, then all the wicks will eventually basically come together. It will make like a torch. And even one person will not fulfill his obligation with that, because a person cannot go ahead and fulfill his obligation with a torch. And Amar Rava says, Rava Pshitali ner Beso, ner Chanukah. This is giving the answer to the question. If a person only has enough money either to do his Shabbos candles or his Chanukah candles, ner Beso adif, mishum shalom bayis, right? Lighting Chanukah Shabbos is more important because of shalom bayis, because the Chanukah the Shabbos candles are for the issue of shalom bayis. And shalom bayis is more important than Persum Nisa. And near base of a kiddush hayom, let's say a person only has enough money either to buy kiddush or enough money to buy Shabbos candles. Near base of, if once again the Shabbos candles wins mishum shalom base, because of shalom bayis that precludes all. And boy Rava near Chanukah a kiddush hayom. What about the other two? So let's say you have near Chanukah, you only have enough money either for near Chanukah or kiddush hayom. What do you say there? Kiddush hayom adif. Do you say over there kiddush hayom is better than tadir, because that's weekly? Therefore, it's tadir shena tadir kodem. Idilma ner Chanukah adif, or maybe you say that the ner Chanukah adif. Why? We should Persum Nisa, because of Persum Nisa and basa devoy. And after he asked the question, Hadar Pashi afterwards he answered ner Chanukah adif mishum Persum Nisa. Ner Chanukah is better because of Persum Nisa. Persum Nisa is more chashuv than tadir. So now going back to Andrew's question, Andrew wanted to know, can you go ahead and light Shabbos candles from ner Chanukah? So you see over here. Right, there's more reason to say that perhaps it would be permitted. Why? Because the Shabbos candles is even a higher level than the Chanukah candles, right? The Chanukah candles is Persum Nisa, but we say you only have money for one. Shabbos candles is better because of Shalom Bayis. So if that's the case, so maybe also in this case, we'll say that one could light from the Shabbos candles, or excuse me, from the Ner Chanukah, the Shabbos candles, because we see one it's going directly to another mitzvah. And also, similar to that, you're mildly because you're going up in Kedusha, but also this is only assuming that you don't light a match from the Chanukah candles to go ahead and light your Shabbos candles, because we have to be basically lighting directly from the Chanukah candles. Now, obviously,
so then the question is, do we say a Hametiv then, because it's the mitzvah is higher? So
we wouldn't do in that case, right? We wouldn't do in that case, but no, that would only apply right in the case of wine when you make that bracha. But also over here, you have to be careful that if you light another candle, right? If you light a match from the Ner Chanukah, it wouldn't be okay. But if you would use the shamash, right? We say shamash is fine, no problem. Shamash, you can light something else. It's not Ner Chanukah. So indeed, practically, one could go ahead and light his menorah. Then afterwards, take the shamash and then use basically the shamash towards the Shabbos candles. All right, let's see. Back to the book. So Amar Rav Huna harogil b'ner haviglo b'nei b'tamid chamim. One who is rogil, he spends his money. And he does it all the time on the Neros Shabbos and Ner Chanukah, he fills his mitzvah. He will have children who are Talmid Chacham. It's a schooler for that. He's a person is careful with the mitzvah mezuzah. Zeichel dirna. He'll be zeichel to have a nice house. He's there, but tzitzis. A person is careful with the mitzvah of tzitzis. Zeichel talasna. It's a schooler for a person to merit right? Fine clothing, and he's there. Kiddush hayom, person is careful in Kiddush hayom. Zeichem umale garba yain. Then he's careful Kiddush hayom. Then he will have the zeicha, I guess, to have his barrels full of wine. Maybe school of Parnasa. And Rav Huna Havi Ragil, Havi Chalif, Tanya Pischa, to Rabbi Avid Nagra. So Rav Huna used to go ahead and frequent and walk by the entrance way of Rabbi Avid Nagra. I guess it was I think it's a carpenter. And Chaz the Havi Ragil, the Shragi Tuli. So he was always very careful with the candles of Hanukkah, with the candles of Shabbos. And Omar, he said, Trey, Gavri, Ravri, nothing mehacha. Two great people will come out of this house, because we said the candles they're school for B'nai Tamil Chamim, and I see he's very makbid in it, so therefore he must have two people that will come from here. And Nachman Ayuf came from there, Rav Idi Baravin and Rav Chia Baravin, two great sages, Rav Idi Baravin and Rav Chia Baravin. Rav Chizavi Ragel, Havi Chaliv, Tani Apischa Debei, Nasa the Rav Shizvi. So Rav Chiz used to go ahead and walk by the house of the father of Rav Shizi. Chazid Havi Ragel Veshragi Tu. We saw he was very careful to sell candles. Amar Gabarabba, nothing a great sage will come from here, and nothing Menayo Rav Shizi came from there. And the Vesiu the Rav Yosef Sever Ma'aser, the Vesiu the wife of Rav Yosef Havis Ma'achra Medelekas Law. She used to be very late to coming lighting candles for Shabbos. Obviously, she wouldn't light it on Shabbos, but the moment before one had to light or one was forbidden from lighting beyond that point, she would light right before. So Rav Yosef to her, Satana the Nabai says, Lo Yemish Amud Ha'anan Yomam the Amud Ha'esh Laila. So it says over there that the cloud, right, did not cease during the day and the fire at night. In other words, they would overlap the other ones, and they would go. In other words, the one for the night would start during the day, and the one that for the day would start at the night, and they would overlap each other. So Svara, so in other words, basically told her that it's okay. You don't have to light right when the time is to light the Shabbos candles, the moment before. You can light earlier. So Savra, she said, okay, I'll light early. I'll light, middle of the afternoon or so. Samar, how was Saba? So certain elder said, Tanina, we learned, you can't do it too early, too late. And I was too late, obviously, after the Zman, and too early, right? As we know, you have to do it close to the Zman, but you can't do it way before. All right, for plag, whatever it is, you can't do it before early. So you can't do it too early, too late, but there is a large time where one can't do it, and one should do it earlier. And Omar Rava, and Rava says, Derachim Rabbanan Havile Banin Rabban. So one was Rachim, one was Ohev, rabbis, he will have sons who will be Tamid Chachamim. The Meikir Rabbanan Havilu Chasnusa, and one who goes ahead and he respects and he honors, right, rabbis, he will have son-in-laws who are Rabbanan. The Derachil Me Rabbanan, right, who Gufe Havitzur Rabbanan, a person who fears Rabbanan, he himself will become a Rabbanan, a wise scholar. Vila Barachin, a person doesn't have the ability, right, to be a Tamid Chacham, he's not too smart. Nevertheless, Mishtaman Milei, people will listen to him like people listen to rabbis. Now, back to the Mishnah, even though we're not completely done with Hanukkah, but we're going back to the Mishnah. So he said you can't use to light on Shabbos. Remember, we're going back to Shabbos. You can't light certain oils that will not burn smoothly, because then one might come to go ahead and tilt the candle on Shabbos in order to add more fuel, more oil to the wick. Now, we said for the Shemen Kik, and we said Shemen has Sreifa. What's Shemen Sreifa? So my Shemen Sreifa. So I'm a Rabba. Shemen shel Truma shenitma. Now Shemen oil of Truma that became tummy. Once Truma oil became tummy, you have to go ahead and burn that oil. So this is the oil we're talking about. So you can't go ahead and use that oil on Shabbos. You can't light that candle made of Shemen Sreifa for Shabbos. The my Karle Shemen Sreifa. Why is it called Shemen Sreifa? Hoyol Sreifa. I mean, since it's for the purpose of burning, you have to go ahead and burn it. It's called Shemen Sreifa. But with Shabbos, my time alone, and on Shabbos, why can't you use it? It's a mitzvah, you have to go ahead and to get rid of it. And therefore, he might go ahead and tilt it and burn it more on Shabbos, and therefore, we don't want to do that. According to that, why don't we say it should be mutter on Yontif? Why does it say Why does it say you can't go ahead and burn Shemen Sreifa on Yontif? It's Shemayata, you're allowed to go ahead and burn a fire on Yontif. So you're allowed to add the fuel. So what's the problem with doing a Yontif? So Gemara says no. Gzeira Yontif to Shabbos. Gzeira of Yontif because of Shabbos. Chiz Omar the Shemayata lo Yechashina. Really, the issue of Shemen Sreifa has nothing to do with you might go ahead and tilt it and cause more oil to burn. Elohacha b'Yontif shechal yezer Shabbos. Over here, we're talking about the Mishnah is referring to a case of when Friday is Yontif. So it's a 2 days. Friday is Yontif, and then goes right into Shabbos. So now you light your Shabbos candles on Yontif, right? The end of Yontif, which is Friday afternoon, like we have this year on Pesach, right? This is our second day, right? Our second day of Yontif is on Friday, and it leads into Shabbos. So therefore, you light the Shabbos candles on Yontif. So you're actually burning the Shemen Sreifa on Yontif. Lefisha ain't serving kachim Yontif, because halacha that you can't go ahead and burn the kachim on Yontif and burn the true on Yontif. The Gemara says, "I do how many times safe of the later Mishnah, which we'll soon see, says ein madlikim b'shemen streifa b'Yontif." So it says over there that you can't go ahead and light ein madlikim streifa b'Yontif michal the reish lava Yontif askinan. So if the seif is talking about Yontif, obviously the reish, our Mishnah is not talking about lighting Shabbos candles on Yontif. Samar Chanina Masura says, Masura matam komar. No. The way the Mishnah was written, it was matam. In other words, the other Mishnah is explaining the previous Mishnah. Matam emanlikim b'shemen streifa b'Yontif. What's the reason why our Mishnah says you can't go ahead and burn shemen streifa on Yontif? The fish ain't surfing kachim b'Yontif, because the reason is you're not allowed to go ahead and burn kachim on Yontif, and that's the reason that it's explaining the Mishnah. And just 2 minutes till 2 dots. And Tanya Kavasi Rav Chiza. So we have a brayso from Rav Chiza. Kol elu she'amru eman linkin behen b'Shabbos, malikin behen b'Yontif. All these cases over here, he says you can't use these oils on Shabbos. You can actually light those candles for Yontif, because we don't care of Shemayata. Chutz, except for Shemen Streifa, if you ain't serving kachim b'Yontif. Except for Shemen Streifa, our case of Shemen Streifa, because those you're not allowed to burn kachim on Yontif. And we'll stop here. Everyone should have a wonderful day. And tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem, we will continue from here at 7:30.